It's a lot of people up there. So Elton John once told me, you know, when I do my last song and we knock it down, the place is going crazy, and then they start screaming, encore, encore, come back. And he'll come back, he'll do another good one, drive him. Then he comes back, and he hits a little bit of a dud. The people leave unhappy. It's very stupid to do a couple of questions, but let's give it a shot. Should we do that? Should we or not? Yes? Okay. Do we have a mic someplace? We'll take a few questions, ask whatever you want. But you know, it's, you know the story, right? Encores are always dangerous. Especially for singers, you want to know the truth. Go ahead, who's got the mic? Uncle Sam, you do. Good, let's go. What do you have, Uncle Sam? I like that man. I like the way he's dressed. He's a good-looking Uncle Sam. Go ahead. Go ahead. You have a mic? Yeah, go ahead. You could give it to anybody that has a question. Anybody has a question, go ahead. Ma'am, please. Go ahead.
As a member of Moms for Liberty,
yes,
parental rights and education are top priorities.
Yes.
Seems like schools have become indoctrination camps where they're focused on sexualizing our children, and it's just not right. How do we get back to the basics in the classroom, teaching, you know, reading, writing,
and arithmetic.
Right.
That's right.
And civics. Thank you, Mr. President.
You know, everything I said tonight, they could say he's conservative, he's got a wonderful conservative voice. Actually, it's a voice of common sense. And with education, almost in many ways easier than other things, we have to get back to common sense. And that is reading, writing, arithmetic. What they're teaching in schools today is insane. And most people understand it. Even the people that want it, they understand it. So we're going to do something. And a lot has to do with your governors and your people that are leading your states. And, you know, they're going to be given free rein to do what they want to do. You happen to have a great governor that's very much into it. And she's taken this state so far. And we'll have other governors doing the same thing. And it's a really great question. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, please, go ahead. Go ahead. That's interesting. Yeah, Trey Gowdy's very good. I think he's very good. We're going to have a lot of great choices for vice president. We're going to pick a great one, but we're going to have a lot of great choices. You know, this whole process is interesting. There are those that say they're all campaigning right now to be vice president. We've heard that a little bit, right? But I will tell you, we'll pick a great one. Thank you very much. Interesting. Okay, question over here. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
Mr. President, our farmers are under attack from increased fuel and fertilizers prices. At the same time, we're demonized by Washington and climate life leftists. How do we protect our farmers from the activist EPA and reduce the costs for our Iowa farmers?
So you were totally protected 2.5 years ago. Hard to believe it's 2.5. We have a year and a half to go. It seems so short now when you had to think in terms of much longer, but you were totally protected like never before. I think you would say, like never before. We will bring that back so fast your head will spin. A big thing is to get the fuel price down. Once that fuel price comes down, a lot of other things are going to happen, including the fertilizer, which I hear is a disaster for farmers right now. So we're going to take care of all of it, and it'll happen very, very fast, very, very quickly. Okay? Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Okay.
Mr. President?
Go ahead, over here, somebody.
Mr. President,
yes.
I'm full of gratitude for everything you have done for us and are doing for us, for we the people. I'd just like to ask, thank you, sir. And what?
So far, I love this question. I'm getting ready for the kill. No, go ahead.
What can you do to bring back manufacturing jobs?
Well, I was doing that, and one of the things we were doing is making it very difficult to have auto plants in Michigan and all leave our country. We had almost nobody leaving during my administration. And one of the things you do is you have to tax some of these products that come back into this country because you have to make it competitive. I saved the dishwashing industry. I saved the washer dryer, the many industries because they were dumping product. It wasn't as good, but it was pretty good. and they were dumping product into the United States. I saved so many different manufacturers. If you look at Whirlpool in Ohio, they had such a problem. South Korea was dumping, and China, thousands and thousands, millions of units in at a price that is just they weren't going to work. And I ended that. I put a 50% tariff on, and I was with them. That part of Ohio is thriving today. It's thriving, and those companies are doing great. So we have to look at individuals, but we will be able to handle that situation very easy. Don't forget, we have a power called the economy. We have a very powerful engine, and the problem is we have people that really don't know how to use it. They don't know how to use it to our collective advantage, but I know how to use it. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, question over here.
Thank you, President Trump. Under Biden, the president, we are seeing mobs of illegals coming across our border. Just this last week, we saw a violent mob try to force their way across the border near El Paso. What can we do to finally secure our southern border and finish the wall?
It'll be secured on day one, and then we have to make a decision. What do we do with the 15 million people that have invaded our country, okay? And we'll do the right thing, that I tell you. We will start by getting the bad ones out. And the sheriffs and law enforcement who we love, the sheriffs know every one of them that shouldn't be here. You know every one of them that shouldn't be here. And we'll take care of business. Go ahead. Thank you. Okay. Go ahead.
Mr. President, the mainstream media came after you and your family like crazy, but not one of them seems interested in investigating the Biden crime family or Hunter's laptop. They also censored anyone who asked questions in 2020. How do we get to the bottom of this?
So the mainstream media had a very high approval rating when I announced I was running for president. And just today I read where it reached an all-time low because people are wise to what's been happening. What they have done, they really are a political arm of the Democrat Party. It's a terrible thing. You saw last couple of weeks where the FBI and Twitter, it's called Twitter Files, where they work together. And they work together with Facebook. You couldn't say anything good about Trump, and you couldn't say anything bad about Biden. They had the laptop. They knew all about the laptop. They knew all these crimes are on the laptop, and they weren't allowed to do anything. They weren't allowed to talk. And frankly, they have that liberal inclination anyway. But even if they wanted to, they couldn't do it. I think we're making a lot of progress. I think that that Congress is doing a very good job now. We have some people. Nancy Pelosi is packing. She's gone. Getting her out is that's a big step. And I think, Kevin, and all of the people in Congress, I tell you what, that whole, people thought it was a fiasco. I think it was a beautiful thing as it turned out. That 5 or 6 nights of voting and voting and voting and voting, I actually think that was like a cleansing action. It was a great thing that happened. And there's great unity in Congress. We do have to do something about Mitch McConnell. He's a disaster. He's a disaster. He gets his 10 guys and they give Biden whatever they want. There's something going on that doesn't make sense. They give him whatever they want. He gets his 10, 12 guys and they vote in order to give the passage because you need the 60 votes usually, and they vote and they give him what he wants. I just cannot understand. Nobody can understand it. We got to get him the hell out. He's a problem, big problem. In the meantime, I hope he's feeling well, but he's a big problem. Okay, go ahead. We'll take 1 or 2 more. Go ahead.
Hello, Mr. President.
Got to be a good one. If it's a good one, I'm out of here, right? If it's a bad one, I've got to take a couple of more to get over the stench of the bad one.
I just want to say it's an honor to hear you speak,
Thank
first
you.
of all. But my question for you is, what can you do to combat transgender athletes taking over women's sports?
Well, you've done it here because your governor's passed legislation. You can't. No, it's crazy. It's like, how does people are seriously in favor of having it done, and I don't understand it. And I tell the story of that champion swimmer, and she's there, and she's looking up and down the line. She sees friends that she's been swimming with. She's a champion, and then she sees this person next to her, and he's a monster. He looks like Wilt Chamberlain, but a little bit different. She sees the guy has a wingspan. She's like looking up and down. Then she looks up. Wow. And, you know, he broke all these records. And it's just it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. You would almost say, and I said it once before tonight, but you would almost say it's people that want to hurt our country because it doesn't make sense. And that one's a very easy one to figure. Anyway, you've got it done in Iowa. A lot of other states are doing it. Some states are going the opposite direction, which is shocking. It's shocking. But we'll get it done throughout the country. It's going to happen. It's happening. It's just common sense. It's a great question, too. Okay. Yes, please.
See you. Mr. President, my grocery bills are going up every week. As someone on a fixed income, that really hurts, and it feels like Joe Biden doesn't even care about us in so-called flyover country. How are we going to fix these prices under control?
You said groceries, right?
Yes.
The groceries are horrible. I mean, you look at eggs and you look at bacon and you look at just what we used to consider staples and you see the kind of numbers. A lot of it's going to have to do with energy. Once the energy comes down, a lot of other things are going to follow. Energy is so big, it's so powerful, it's so impactful that once the energy comes down, you're going to see a lot of good things happen. And we have more energy than any other country in the world, more than Saudi Arabia, more than Russia. I call it liquid gold, and it's right under our feet. I mean, when you look at the craziness, we're allowed to go to Venezuela to take their energy, and it's horrible. It's tar. It's bad. It pollutes. You know where they refine it? In Houston. So they talk about the environment, but they bring it from Venezuela to Houston because that's the only place that has the refineries for this kind of very bad potential oil. And they refine it in Houston. So if you're a big believer in that, all that stuff is going up in our country. And it's just incredible. We have the greatest energy in the world. You know, I approved something, I was very proud of it, ANWR, Alaska. And ANWR is the biggest, probably the biggest site anywhere in the world, and probably bigger than Saudi Arabia, just that one, in Alaska. And Reagan tried to do it, he couldn't get it done. Bush tried to do it, he couldn't get it done, of course. And other people couldn't get it done, nobody could get it done. I got it done. And the first day in office, they terminated ANWR. And this would have been incredible to have for our country. I mean, literally, we were going to become energy dominant. We would have made, because it's a big, big industry, we would have made so much money that we would have started paying off debt, lowering taxes still further. We would have done something that nobody's ever seen before because we have so much. You know, I filled up the Strategic National Reserves. I knew not much about it. I said, what are the reserves that we want to fill up and that's been taken for years and years down to a low level? And I made a great deal. I got very little credit for it. I bought, when our oil price hit like these crazy low numbers, that's when I asked the question, because we had so much. I said, what about filling in the caverns? These are these massive, as in Louisiana and various other salt, like the salt mines. They're big, massive salt mines. And I bought 75 million barrels for peanuts and filled it very close up to the top. We were going to be topping it out. And then Biden, just before the election, in order to keep prices a little low, he released all of that. And now we set a record low. They've taken all of it and then some. And we have the lowest that they've ever seen it right now. It's the lowest that they've ever seen, meaning the reserves themselves. We had it filled up almost to the top, would have been topped out at really low prices. And by the way, now they have to pay 3 to 4 times more than what I was paying. And the Democrats fought me all the way. They got us stopped, actually, for a while. They fought me all the way at a price that was 25% of what they have to pay right now. So it's a crazy thing. And a lot of times we'll say common sense, but the other side either doesn't have common sense or they really hate us. And let's take one more. I'm looking at that big, powerful guy there. I don't know who's a better looking guy. Let me see. I don't know. He looks good. They look good.
You look fantastic, and we love you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're the greatest executive I've ever observed in my lifetime, and I think you've made it possible for governors, including Kim Reynolds, whom I love and respect for many years, to become the really high-level executives by your example. Now, you have passed legislation, or got legislation passed for like the wall. It got paid for, it was passed, you signed it. And then there was the XL Keystone Pipeline. All of these things have to do with interstate commerce.
Right.
There are Section 1, or Article 1, Section 8 in the Constitution. Biden had no authority in law to reverse those things. And what would you do to see to that never happens again under your watch through your actions and with the legislation?
Well, the Keystone, great. I love your question. I like your statement even more than your question, to be honest with you. This could be the last question of the night because I love it. Appreciate it. Appreciate the job you do also. Do you know each other? Sheriff, do you know each other? Do you know who that is, that man? Huh? Huh?
I know Bobby.
Yeah, I love this guy. I love them both. Ready? So I think what has to happen, and it's very simple. The Keystone Pipeline was a tragic mistake that they made. That was so much coming from other parts, and it was going right into the source. Everything would have been so great. And by the way, environmentally much safer. The wall, I built hundreds of miles of wall, but I ended up getting, I want to use a nice word because we have such young people here, but the word that would normally be used would be screwed. But I wouldn't use that word because I don't want to get in trouble with the parents of these two beautiful young boys. No, what they did is they took advantage of the American public, and we built hundreds of miles, but there was other areas that we could have built. I ended up having to take it out of the military because I considered it an invasion, and the Army Corps of Engineers did a fantastic job. We built hundreds of miles of it, but I didn't get it the old-fashioned way, like getting it approved, because the Democrats fought us every inch. We had 11 lawsuits. It took us 2.5 years. We won all of them, but we had 11 lawsuits to win. They tried to fight the wall. But the bottom line is, it sort of shows, that's a good example. If you want to get something done, if you love our country, and you really want, if it's so important, you're going to get it done. You're going to find a way to get it done. This was sort of ingenious. We passed this big military budget, but we couldn't get a wall built for a tiny fraction of that. And I said, this is an invasion of our country. And it is, by the way. This is an invasion of our country, what's coming across our border. It's no different than soldiers. And they're bringing a lot of different problems than soldiers would bring. They're not bringing merely bullets, and they're bringing plenty of them. But they're causing tremendous problem for our country. And it's a problem that we may have a very, very long, unless we do something quickly, and we have to do it smart, and we have to work with law enforcement to do it properly. Not going to be easy, but they're hurting our country. They're killing the blood, the life stream of our country, and we're going to do something about it. But why they killed the Keystone, I have no idea. And the union, representing all of those thousands of workers, 48,000 workers, the union endorsed Biden. But all the workers are for Trump, okay? But the head guy endorsed Biden. And what did Biden do? Probably the second or third day in office, he terminated the Keystone Pipeline. So, so the people in that union are not too happy. They're not too happy. But look, bottom line is we have to use common sense, and we have to do a little bit like Kim or a lot like Kim and some other governors. Kim, you would be the first to admit we have some great governors, Republican governors, perhaps some Democrats too, but they don't seem to have our policies at all. You look at any Democrat-run state, and it's just not the same. It doesn't work. You look at these cities, our great cities are, New York City is a crime den. Chicago is a crime den. You look at these great cities, Los Angeles, San Francisco, you look at what's happening to our country. We cannot let it happen any longer. And one of the other things I'll do, because, you're supposed to not be involved in that. You just have to be asked by the governor or the mayor to come in. The next time, I'm not waiting. One of the things I did was let them run it, and we're going to show how bad a job they do. Well, we did that. We don't have to wait any longer. We got to get crime out of our cities. Thank you very much for a good question. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Kim, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much. So they said, sir, at the end, could you take some questions? I'd love to do it, but you hate to finish on a beautiful high note. Everyone's going crazy standing. And then you start taking questions and people fall asleep. Should I take a few or not? Should I just leave? You ever hear like Elton John said, he'll finish, the place is going wild, they're going crazy. He comes for an encore, they go crazy, they want more. Comes for another encore, they go crazy. Does one more, and it's a dud. And everybody leaves and says, that wasn't that good, was it? So oftentimes you're better off you leave on a high note, but I said I would do that. So why don't we take a few questions and then, sure, ma'am, please. Hi.
My husband is up there. We are Iowa farmers and also small business owners. So I would like to know what you're going to do for small businesses.
Well, we are, the big thing, the biggest thing, bigger than the tax cuts, which were the biggest ever, is we cut regulations. And we cut regulations for small business, the likes of which you had businesses that couldn't survive. It was just impossible for them to survive. We cut regulations more than any administration in the history of our country times 4, and it was really rocky. Now, slowly, they're starting to add those things that we cut back, but we'll get them out very fast. We know every one of them. We'll get them back very fast. And I know that you've seen a big difference. You said before, but I know that you've seen a big difference between now and what it was a few years ago. We've never had an economy like we had just 3 years ago. It was unbelievable. And frankly, this economy is not doing well, but the reason it's doing okay is it's running on the fumes of what we built. But those fumes are running out, and they're running out fast. And it's not going to be a pretty picture. Thank you very much. Great question. Question? Yeah, please. Somebody over there?
Sure.
Yes.
I'd like to know how you can help us in Iowa save our farmland from the CO2 pipeline.
Yeah. Well, you know we're working on that, and you know we had a plan to totally, it's such a ridiculous situation, isn't it? But we had a plan, and we would have instituted that plan, and it was all ready. But we will get it back. If we win, that's going to be taken care of. That will be one of the easy things we do. Question, please. Hello.
President Trump, just back from Yuma, Arizona.
Good.
They love your wall.
Yeah.
One problem, it's not finished.
Yeah.
And the fentanyl is creeping into our country. What would you do?
So I always said build a wall. They said don't build it. I had some problems, even with a couple of rhinos in the Republican Party, as you know. And I ended up saying, look, here's the story. I'm taking it from the military. And I said, because I view it as national defense. This is an invasion. And I built hundreds of miles of wall and had everything completed. When everything was completed, we noticed that people were pouring into other areas. So we were all set. The wall was bought. The wall was ready to be put up, would have been done in a period of 3 weeks. And that's when we realized these people actually believe in open borders. They refuse to put up the wall. You know that because Arizona was one of the places. But we will get that finished. But more importantly, we had great deals with Mexico, stay in Mexico. People weren't coming in. We had it, that last period of time between the wall, you know, I got 28,000 Mexican soldiers guarding our territory. I went to the president of Mexico. I said, you have to give us soldiers. They said, you have to be kidding. Why would we ever do that? I said, because you have people pouring through Mexico. You have to. And they said, we will not do that. And other things, stay in Mexico, they wouldn't agree. They wouldn't agree to any of this stuff. And he's a great guy, but he, you know, why would he? And he wouldn't. And they actually, their representatives laughed and smiled at me. They said, we will not do that. A woman in the State Department, she worked on Mexico for 25 years, and she was very good, but she said, they'll never approve that. We've been asking for that stuff for years. I said, I'll make you a bet. And she said, well, you're not going to win. We've been asking for this for years. And she was a serious person. And so I said to her, I'll tell you what, it's 100%. And the top person in Mexico outside of the president came in representing Mexico and the president. I said, here's what we need. I said, give me a list of my people and the Border Patrol and ICE. These people are incredible. Brandon Judd and Tom Homan, who's fantastic. They have such incredible people. I said, give me a list of the 10 things that you want from Mexico and the other states, but in this case, because it's on the southern border of Mexico. And they gave me a list of things that are not even possible to write down, let alone get. I presented it to the representative, top guy in Mexico, and he laughed. I said, why are you laughing? He said, because we could never do this. He said, you want us to give you 28,000 soldiers free of charge. 28,000 soldiers. Mr. President, you must be kidding. I said, no, I'm not kidding. People are pouring in through your country, and they're destroying our country, and you don't care about it, but I care about it. He said, here's the story. You're going to give it to us, right? No, I'm not. I said, yes, you are, and here's why you're going to. Because on Monday morning at 9 o'clock, I'm putting a 25% tariff and tax on all of your goods, including all the car industry that you took away over the last 30 years from the United States. 32% of our car manufacturing is in Mexico because we had stupid leaders that allowed it to go. And they send in cars with no tax, no nothing. I said, starting Monday morning at 9 o'clock, we're going to put a 25% tariff on every single car that comes into our country and every other product made in Mexico that comes into our country. And you will pay that tariff. And that is far more money for us than the cost of 28,000 soldiers. Mr. President, sir, I'd like to leave the room and make a phone call. And he came back. I know who he called, the president. He said, Mr. President, we have decided that we would like to provide you with 28,000 soldiers on your border. We will agree to remain in Mexico. We will agree to all of the other conditions that you have asked. And we hope you're happy with us. We love you very much. And that was the end of it. And I got things. And then as soon as these clowns come in, they gave up remain in Mexico. They gave up all of this stuff. I mean, it wasn't easy to get. It was smart. It wasn't easy to get. We had the safest border in the history of our country. And now we have the worst border anywhere in the world, probably at any time. And I always say it, no third world country that use sticks and stones to stop them would allow what's happening to our country to happen to them, where millions of people are pouring across the border, and we have no idea who they are. But I do know this. They are terrorists, they are from prisons, and they are from mental institutions. And it's horrible. Not to even mention all of the things going on with the human traffickers, which is, by the way, trafficking in women, because 95% of it is women, maybe even more than that. And we had it virtually at the lowest point we've ever been before. And these fools, these just horrible, stupid fools with either no common sense or they're truly evil people, allowed all of that stuff to go away, and now we have millions of people every month pouring into our country, and we have no idea. You have to see New York. You have to see our cities. They're pouring in. They're putting up tents in Central Park. What's happened to our country is so horrible. San Francisco is one of our greatest cities. You have to see San Francisco today. But Chicago, look at Chicago. Look at what's happening to our country. These people are either very evil or it's the one thing that nobody can explain is why they do it. Why? Why do they do it? Look, they are people that try and defend what's happening. They fight you all the way. They want to put you in prison if you even question them. Our country is being ruined. Our country is being destroyed by probably very sick, very evil people. Nobody can understand who would want to have a border where the whole world is allowed to pour in. And then they announced that we will give you, if you come to America, free education, free hospitals, free this, free that. We don't have any room we don't have anything. It's impossible. Everybody has a heart. We want to take care of everybody. But the whole world is coming into our country. It's not sustainable. Our country is a mess. We will turn our country around. We will make America great again. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. God bless you, everybody. God bless you. God bless you. And now God bless me, because I'm going to take a couple of questions, okay? Where are we going to go with the questions? Do we have a mic at some point? Do we have a little mic? Oh, go ahead, please. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Gerard. Thank you for the shout out earlier. I appreciate that. One of the issues we are super passionate about at the New Hampshire Federation of Republican Women is women's sports and keeping biological men out of women's sports and out of women's bathrooms.
Right.
We recently released a statement calling out Chris Pappas and Ann Custer for voting against the Protection of Women's and Girls Sports Act. So how do we ensure that women can compete on an even playing field and feel safe when it comes to this issue?
Vote for Trump. That's how you do it. Okay? You're going to have no problem. You got me on that one before it was even an issue. It's the craziest thing. And you know, it's amazing. It's a good statement and or question, but so many people, they hear it, they can't even believe it. They can't even believe what's going on with that subject. No, you vote for Trump. That's going to be totally gone. Okay? Go ahead, please. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Thank you very much, Frank Dawson, and thank you for the phone call 3 years ago.
I remember that, yeah.
Thank you very much. You are the man.
Thank you very much.
I would like to ask you a question concerning the military.
Okay.
Do you promise the veterans out there, guarantee them that you will make our military stronger as it was before you were pushed out of office, and you will return, and also make a promise to all law enforcement, all legitimate law enforcement, that you will protect and support them all the way?
So I remember the call. I don't know why, but I have a good memory. But I remember the call very much, and I appreciate the love with that statement, not just a statement. The answer is yes. We rebuilt our military. We have the finest equipment in the world. You know, we had jets that were 48 years old, where the grandfather was flying them. Some of the bombers, the grandfather was flying them, and now the grandson is flying them. No, we're redoing our military. We redid a lot. As you remember, I made Space Force, and they tried to end it as soon as they came into office, and they had a revolt in the military. We created Space Force. That's the first time in 78 years since the Air Force that something like that's been done, creating a new branch. So the answer is yes, 100%. You will be satisfied. Not only that, the veterans are very satisfied, 92%. But now, in other words, we had an approval rating, the VA, of 92%. That's never happened before. That's a real job. You know, we got approved where you can fire sadists and sick people. You know, you couldn't fire them no matter what they did. You couldn't fire because of lots of reasons. I won't blame civil service. I won't blame unions. I won't blame anyone. You couldn't fire them. And we got that done. And we also got it done where you can go out and get your own doctor, and we pay, because some of the veterans, as you know, were online for weeks and months. Some of them became terminally ill, waiting to get just a very simple procedure or prescription. They'd have to wait 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. And we made it, you understand this, those two things were very important. The ability, we fired, I think, 12,000 people. They were sadists. They wouldn't attack these people in prime time, I can tell you. But they were sadists, they were thieves, they had some very bad people. We got rid of them. We actually had that passed in the legislature. They've been trying to do it for 48 years. And then on the other, as you know, that was a big deal. If you have to wait online for any more than 24 hours, you have the right to go out and get a doctor, get yourself taken care of, and we pay the bill. And that worked out unbelievably well. You know that's true. That's why they liked us. But the answer is yes, we'll take care of it, okay? Thank you. Good to see you. Okay, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. I'm Christine Peters, also from the New Hampshire Federation of Republican Women.
Good.
And two of the top 3 issues that women are concerned about right now are inflation and the economy. And how do things like the environmental social governance play into all of the economic issues that are facing women?
Well, they do. And, you know, you have these fanatics, the environmental fanatics. I'm an environmentalist. A lot of you are very, you know, you want clean water. We want clean air. Nobody wants dirty air and water and other things. So, but you have to be reasonable. These people are crazy. They're putting windmills all over the place. They're going all over windmills. The birds are, you want to see a bird cemetery? Go under a windmill sometime. And they're made in China, just so you know, and causing a lot of problems, very expensive. But I will say this, we will take care of this inflation by going and drilling. You know the sign in they have Con Edison in New York, utility. They used to have a sign, dig we must, drill we must. We must drill. And we did some job. We had it down to below $1.87 for a period of time, gasoline. And what a difference that made. When they came in and they closed everything down, they got rid of Anwar. Anwar, since Ronald Reagan, they've been trying to. Ronald Reagan couldn't do it. Bush couldn't do it. Nobody could do it. I got it done. The biggest site probably in the world, drilling in Alaska, they ended it the first day of the Biden administration. I mean, you think about it. They ended it the first day of the Biden administration, a site that would have been almost the size of Saudi Arabia, maybe bigger, and they ended it. But we'll do it again. We can do it again. We'll get it done again. When you reduce the price of energy, everything else is going to come down. And when everything else comes down, what we'll be able to do is get the interest rates down, and we're going to get our country back. Because our country, the way it's going right now, is going into a depression. We're going into a depression, like a 1929 type depression, and we're not going to let that happen. But we're going to drill, we're going to get energy down, everything else. When they held it back, the energy became so oppressive, so expensive, that everything went up, and you had inflation at a level that you hadn't seen in 52 years, and it's still horrible. But we're going to bring energy down, way down. We're going to get the interest rates down. We're going to get back to a great life. We're going to strengthen up our military. And we're going to be able to deal with China and Russia and everybody. And they're not going to play with us. They're not going to play with us. Thank you. Okay? Go ahead. Go ahead. Yes. Go ahead.
Is it on? Okay. God bless you, President
Thank you
Trump.
very much. God bless you.
My name's Christine. I'm from Atkinson, New Hampshire, and engaging with young voters is crucial. Here in New Hampshire, we have American First warriors like Caroline Levitt. How do you plan to engage with Gen Z voters?
Well, I think we're doing that, and I'll tell you what, you would be shocked, like Charlie Kirk and others, the job that they do with their youth. It's a youth movement. It really is. That's another movement. You would be shocked to see how popular we are on college campuses. Much different than what you read, much different than what you hear. But, you know, one of the things about having this horrible thing take place where 4 years of, we've lived in 4 years of hell in this country in many ways, more ways than you even know. But one of the things is they have shown how bad they are. And we'll be able to do things now to get it straightened out. We have to make our cities safe again. We have to clean up our areas. We have to get things going in this country again. They've shown how... Okay, we'll do one more. How about one more? Go ahead. Now, this is a bad question, or if I don't give a great answer, I'll do another one. Because, you know, Elton John said, encores are very dangerous. You do a fantastic concert. Everyone's going crazy. Then you do an encore of a song, it's good. Then you do another encore, and the song doesn't work. And you leave. Everyone said, what a rotten job. But you're never going to say that about Trump, right? Let's go.
President Trump, my name is Brendan, and I would just like to know, what is your plan for dealing with the growing threat of North Korea?
North Korea has been a very good example of what intelligence is. I got along great with Kim Jong-un. We had a very tough start. I called him Little Rocket Man. I called him Rocket Man. I called him lots of things. He called us. And then one day I got a phone call, and they said, you know, we want to get together. And the Olympics in South Korea was coming up. Nobody bought it. They weren't selling anything. And all of a sudden, I got North Korea to participate in the Olympics, and the thing sold out like in 2 days. It was incredible. We did a great job with North Korea. We will be able to deal with North Korea. I don't think this administration will be able to deal with North Korea. Okay, one more. Go ahead, one more. Yes, ma'am.
President Trump, I believe most Americans can agree that the radical left's defund the police movement was destructive to our police force.
It's still going on, too, by the way.
Absolutely. When you are president, what will be done to correct the getting our police up to par with proper training, with proper numbers, and get them back on track?
So you're talking to the right person. We are taking care of our police. I did. You know, when I was in office, we had billions of dollars worth of Army equipment, Marine equipment, naval equipment, billions in storage rooms all over the United States. And Obama didn't want to get it out because he said it looked too tough. It didn't look good to give it. I said immediately, get it out. I gave billions and billions of dollars. You know what I'm talking about. All of this ex-military equipment. It was incredible. And for safety, including trucks that were armor-plated, I gave it all to the police. We got it out. It was sitting there drawing dust. But very valuable stuff. We took care of our police. We are going to take care of our police, and we're going to make sure that we support our police, because our police can solve the problems of our cities instantaneously if you let them do their job. And we love our police, and we love our firemen and everybody else that does. But we have to support them, and we can't have them be afraid that if they use one wrong word, their life is ruined. We can't let that happen. And, you know, one other thing, they do an incredible job, and you have bad apples. Every once in a while, something happens. It shouldn't happen, and we have to understand things like that can happen. We have to support our police. These are great American patriots. They used to do a job. Now they're not allowed to do the job. We have to allow, especially in our cities that are rotting and decaying, we have to let our police back. We have to let them do the job that only they can do. They're fantastic people, and we are with them, and we're going to help fund them. We're not defunding. We're going to fund our police. Thank you. Great question. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you. This is an incredible place. This was a great day. I enjoyed it so much. I want to thank Steve and all of these incredible endorsers, because that's a record-setting endorse. But I want to thank you all. God bless you all. We'll be back. God bless you all. That's good. We'll take a couple of quick questions, and then I'll shake a few hands. Question, ma'am, go ahead. Hello.
Hi, welcome, President Trump.
Thank you.
Okay, so you kind of already answered my question a little bit, but my question was, when you become president again, what would the first thing you'll do to fix our current school system and even our current military that's only focusing on teaching woke gender ideology over learning the basics of life and history and protecting us?
So, a good question. Some of it partially answered, but not all. With the military, we're ending woke immediately. You know, I ended woke, totally. And then in their first week, they reestablished it. It's crazy. They pay instructors hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. It literally, they want our military to be woke. And it's just not going to happen. You read in Hawaii where they had the horrible fire where they have people going there. And before they bring them on board, they have to study woke for a week. Can you believe this? In other words, everyone's wanting to get back to their home, finding the bodies. It was such a tragedy. You don't read about it too much anymore, but hell is going on over there. And they want to give them classes in essentially wokeness. Can you believe? So, you know, you've seen it. Well, we'll end that very quickly. We will, with the school, I think the schools are very important. We're going to bring our education department back. Now, if you look at our education, we pay more per pupil than any country in the world by 3 times. And yet we're at the bottom of the list. We have a bad, very bad. If a place like Iowa, as an example, if you could run your own and we give you just a percentage of the money, because you wouldn't need nearly the money that they waste in Washington. Number one, you love your students, you want your students, you know your students. The parents will be involved. That's the other thing. We're going to let the parents, because some of these school boards have become tyrannical. They've been horrible. But we're going to bring that back, and that's going to answer your question, because I think that we can have one of the best school systems in the world. Right now we have one of the worst. They basically rate 40 countries, and we're always at close to the bottom of the list, sometimes the bottom of the list, and spending more money than anybody else. So we're going to take care of all of your needs very quickly, and I think it's going to happen very quickly. And one of the things we're doing, closing the border day one and starting drilling for oil. Okay? We're going to drill, baby, drill. Right? Okay, do you have one over here? Yes, please.
Welcome to Iowa, President Trump.
Thank you very much.
Here's my question. I felt that the 2020 election was fraudulent. So what measures are being taken by the RNC to make sure that that doesn't happen again?
Okay, well, you're not the only one, because if you look at polls, many, many people, big percentage of the country felt it was, you know, they used COVID to cheat, but they would have cheated anyway. Many precautions, many law firms have been hired, a lot of work has been done, and beyond RNC, I mean, I wasn't very thrilled with them, obviously. You know, I was always told you go out, you campaign. I left here early in the morning, and you go home, and you think you've done great. I actually made 7 rallies on the last day or two. 7. I don't know anybody's going to do 7 rallies, and they're big rallies, and they were full-scale rallies. And I left, and I said, we're going to win. And at 10 o'clock in the evening, I looked at the numbers, and it was over. We were doing so well. Pennsylvania, all these states were doing so well. Then all of a sudden, they made adjustments and all this crap, and it was a horrible thing. So they were able to do things with COVID. Oh, we can't go vote. We can't this. We can't that. Mail-in voting. We have a lot of great people involved. That's more than anything else. I say, I don't want help in getting the vote. I only want help. It used to be called election day. Now it's called election period because some of these things last for like 2 months, right? I said, that's all I want. I want people to work because we went back and we did great. And then the vote comes in and then it was looking great. And then all of a sudden, this horrible thing happened. And by the way, it's all down. People know it. We had judges that didn't want to get involved. They were afraid. Everybody was afraid. They were afraid of the subject. It's a disgrace. What happened to our country is a total disgrace, okay? Disgrace. So, and look at the result. I mean, look at the result. I mean, practically every problem that we talked about today wouldn't have happened. Ukraine wouldn't have happened. Inflation wouldn't have happened. I mean, so many of these things that we talk about today, we wouldn't even be thinking about. Look at the supply chain. Who ever heard of a supply chain where people can't deliver? You couldn't get baby food. You couldn't get anything. The only thing you could get is all the drugs you wanted. You could get drugs. You could get cocaine. I wonder whose cocaine that was, by the way, in the White House. What about that deal? Packages of cocaine. And they said, well, we don't know. No, we don't know. And then when they went for the fingerprint thing, you know, everybody's there, fingerprints all, it was wiped clean. Not one fingerprint. Not one fingerprint, which is impossible. You can go to any place in this room, there's fingerprints all over the place, especially those cubicles. So we're going to be working very hard. That's my number one thing, much more so than campaigning, actually, is that they don't cheat on the election. Because they will try, and they'll be successful to an extent. But we're not going to let them steal this election because this country is going to fail. I'll tell you, I don't think the people of this country will allow it to happen either, because this country is on a very thin edge right now. Thank you very much for the question. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I want to thank you, President, for all that you've done. And a question I want to ask you is, I'm telling you, no man can endure what you have endured. Do you realize that God is behind you and strengthening you? Do you realize that?
Well, I appreciate what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, too. It's been a terrible thing in so many ways. The only thing, the great gratitude I get, I'm looking at polls now where we're 50 points, 60 points up, you know, among all these people. And we're beating Biden in all these polls, and we're beating everybody. And we have had to endure. We endured a fake Russia thing for years. We endured all of this stuff, all fake. And think of how bad these people were. A guy like Adam Shifty Shifter, he's a real bad guy. I call him pencil neck. He's got the smallest neck I've ever seen. He's not going to be playing for your local teams, Iowa State. They're not going to be recruiting him to play football. But Adam Schiff, he makes up with Hillary and with the Democrats. They make up the Russia scam. He knows it's a scam. Think about how bad. I have sons and daughters. And, you know, we love our sons and daughters, right? And I watch him on television one day. So he knows it's a hoax. Russia. It turned out to be a total hoax. No collusion. There was no anything. So he knows it's a hoax right in the middle. And he goes out to the microphones after leaving the meeting, which is supposed to be very, quiet. Nobody's supposed to know what goes on in there. He goes out to the microphone. He goes, the president's son, Donald Trump Jr., will go to prison for what he's done. Now, he knows it's a hoax. Think of it. It's not like I'm reading and seeing, and I watch this guy telling me. I'm watching him saying that my son is going to prison. My son is going to prison. And I know that he had nothing to do. There was nothing. The whole thing was made up. It was a made up story. You know why it was made up? It was an excuse why Hillary lost. They said, let's blame Russia. And it was supposed to be a one-day deal, but the fake news wouldn't let it be one day. And the fake news carried it and on and on and on. We have the same thing right now. It's going on still. Do you know that if I got indicted, but because the people know me so well, they know it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. They know that. And think of it. They say They say he questioned the election. He questioned, well, everybody in this room questioned the election. The Democrats questioned 2016. They were all standing up. They were forming cards. They were forming all sorts of things. And those are the same guys that say it's so corrupt. Washington's a corrupt place. But think of it. You're watching some guy on television, a high-ranking congressman, say that your son is going to prison, and he knows that it was a hoax. I mean, how bad do you have to be to do that? And then it gets, no collusion after 2.5 years. And then 2 weeks go by, and I had a little piece. I focused on China and other things. It's almost the easy subject, right? I focused on the easy things like China, Russia. And then they start with Ukraine, Ukraine, Ukraine. He made a phone call to Ukraine. It was a perfect phone call. That phone call turned out to be absolutely, nobody's ever seen anything. Everything I said was right. About please study, if there's any corruption, please report it to the Attorney General of the United States. It turned out to be exactly right. A lot of people are saying right now they've got to undo even the theory of those indictments because those indictments were fake, just like everything else. So we have to get back to making our country great again. But you're right. Many people ask me that question. They say, how do you do it? And I do it because I feel real love and I feel real appreciation. And I do it because it's more important than anything else I could do. I could be living a very nice life in the most beautiful places all over the world. And here I am with you in Iowa, and I'd rather be here. I'd rather be here. So thank you very much. Very nice. Appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you.
Hello, Mr. President. My question for you is, what are you going to do to make future generations more successful than what we are right now?
Well, we have to save our country first. I really do. I mean, it's a great question in a way, but I think our country, we have almost 36 trillion in debt. We are probably, if this group keeps running, think of what's happened. We used to be allies with Saudi Arabia, a lot of money, a lot of everything, a lot of energy. We didn't need their energy. That was their beauty. But we were allies with all these different countries. Everyone's left us. Brazil is up with China now. Saudi Arabia is with China. Many of the Middle Eastern countries, a lot of oil, a lot of money, they're with China. We've lost the whole of South America is with China. This all happened over the last 2.5 years. It's unbelievable. We have no relation with all the money we waste on trying to bribe friendship. We try and bribe our friendships. We're not with anybody. We don't have anybody. And Europe honestly takes advantage of us on trade and on NATO. They take total advantage of us. And, you see that with Ukraine. We're trying to help them. And the problem is Biden got so far ahead of this thing that now, they're saying, well, why should we have to put up money? The stupid Americans are putting it all up. That's what happened. We're 200 billion and they're 25 billion. And it's right at their doorstep. And we have an ocean in between us. It's much different. So the first thing, just to answer your question, we have to save our country. Okay? It's a sad answer, but it happens to be true. Okay, how about we do one more? We always have to end on a good one, okay? We have to end on a very good one.
Hi, President Trump.
Hi.
First of all, I just want to say that I love and respect you so much, and I want to thank you for being America's biggest fighter. So there's that. But I also, less of a policy-related question. I just want to know if you have any words of advice or encouragement for a lot of us young conservatives who are afraid to speak out, as you may know. I definitely know from being a student at Iowa, Hawkeye State, by the way.
Oh, good.
And I just want to know, especially with the caucus coming up, we need to get a lot more young people out there. So I'd just like to know if you have any thoughts on how we could be better patriots to get you
So
back
I'll tell you,
in there.
it's so great that you asked that, and with such enthusiasm and everything. It's so great. So remember this. There are far more of you than you think. You don't see them. You don't see them. I know people in Beverly Hills. I see them on television. We will stop Trump, but they go in and vote for me, It's true. It's like you think it's woke. It's not. You look at the percentage of votes and everything else, if you can count on it, which you basically can't. But look, you just keep your thoughts and because you happen to be doing the right thing. There are many, many more of you than you understand. There are many more of you than there are of them, and a lot of them are you, because it's common sense. They say, are you a conservative? whether you're conservative, yeah, I'm conservative, but I'm really a person of common sense. We need a wall. We want low taxes. We want good education. We want to be able to build and buy houses. You know, nobody can buy houses anymore because the interest rates are so high. Remember when they were high? I was jawboning that guy. Get him down. You better get him down. They said you can't fire the head of the Federal Reserve, but he thought he was going to be fired. And, you know, you take a look at interest rates, what's happening right now. You just stay just the way you are. You shouldn't change at all. And just go out there. And people respect you, and they respect you more than you would ever think. And there's so many of you, okay? And you're going to a great school. Thank you all very much. So remember that. Get out and caucus and have a good time. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.